one thing to be anxious or depressed, and it's another thing entirely to know that you're anxious and depressed and be unable to do anything about it. Hi beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the first episode of Beach Talks. So the beach is not giving right now. The weather is so bad, like it's really late, so cold, but I still wanted to do this to show you that we do hard things even when they're hard. That didn't make sense, but you get my point. So on today's first episode of Beach Talks, I wanted to get into a topic that I have seen talked about very little, which is self-awareness. When I was on TikTok, I once saw this video when someone was talking about how it might be better for our mental health if we just didn't know that we had these issues, or we didn't know what it is we were suffering from, or if we basically were not aware that what we were going through was serious, if I can say that. And at first when I saw the video, I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, this is so outrageous. Like, of course not. Of course knowledge is the best, and it's better to know than not to know, and knowledge can only be a good thing. And so that was my point of view. But after meditating on that sentiment for some time, I found that I had a lot more thoughts, or it became a more nuanced topic to me and not black or white. So that's what I wanted to discuss today. So this is a channel about mental health, and I've never hidden the fact that I struggle with things like anxiety, depression. But I feel like I've struggled with these things for a long time, but I just never knew that they were called depression and anxiety. You get? And so I just came back and found out that half the time my camera wasn't even recording on the beach. So I still really wanted to talk about this, so I'm just gonna talk about it here. So we're gonna have beach talks in my dining room. The definition of self-awareness, I looked it up earlier. It's the conscious knowledge of your feelings, your motives, your character, basically. And like thinking about that, I think we should dissect it. So what does conscious mean? Conscious is like knowledge of, and some dictionaries actually say painful sensitivity to. So when I think of self-awareness in the context of mental health, I think of painful sensitivity to your situation. So if I ever like fell into a depressive episode, not only was I sad, but like I was painfully aware of that sadness. And I feel like it's one thing to be anxious or depressed, and it's another thing entirely to know that you're anxious and depressed and be unable to do anything about it. And so I feel like it's a trade-off, because self-awareness seems like this like really good concept on paper. It seems like everything will be okay once you know what's going on, but I feel like the reality of it is really different to what you would expect. And I'm just gonna use my experience to kind of illustrate my point. So last year, I really started to struggle with disordered eating habits. But like that's the whole point of this thing. I didn't start struggling with this in 2023. I just realized that it was disordered eating in 2023. This is something that has been a constant in my life that I've referred to as stress eating, rewarding myself, you name it, like everything apart from what it was. The thing is, once I realized that, oh, this is an issue, it's not like suddenly whenever I got the urge, I would be like, oh no, I now know that this is disordered eating, so I'm not gonna do it. No, I still fell into the bad habits. I still like struggled immensely. I still like went to war with myself, just asking like, why am I like this? And I don't know, that was somehow worse than when I was in denial. Like, you know what's going on and you still can't do anything about it. It just makes you feel so powerless and helpless, and just adds an extra layer to whatever you're going through. And I feel like that's something that most people would not want. I know I didn't want it. I wished on so many nights, I wished I was still in the dark. I wish that I didn't have this useless knowledge that like is unable to help me. Like, another instance is last year I started like tracking my mood because I was convinced that I was bipolar. Turns out I was just a woman. So for 6 days of the week, of the month, between 6 and 10 days, like, I would just be a different person. I would be extremely insecure. I would be very, very depressed. Like, I would feel like there's no future. I would be overcome with anxiety and just have this rush of like really bad emotions. And when I started tracking it and like thinking about it more, I realized that this was at a specific time, and I finally realized what was causing it. But it didn't change a thing. It didn't. Like, the next month, I was still in that bad place. I was still in that insecure place. I was still in that low place. But I just knew what was causing it. I didn't know the remedy. I didn't know how to solve it. I just had this useless knowledge. And that's what I have realized is the trade-off with self-awareness. What's the alternative? What is the alternative to be ignorant to your situation and to kind of just move through life not really knowing what is causing your problems? I feel like that's oddly good in the short run, but it will never really solve anything, so it's not a valid option. But I feel like I finally understand the people who think that ignorance is bliss, because not knowing what you're going through kind of gives you a shield. Knowing what you're going through while you're going through it and being unable to do anything about it just adds this layer of helplessness that can make you really cynical towards life. But I believe that that's only a short-run effect, and in the long run, the only way you'll be able to solve your issues is by getting to the root of them. And so I still do believe in the self-awareness project. I still do believe everyone should do the work to uncover where your motives, where your feelings, where your character like is coming from, where certain thoughts, certain biases, or anything that's going on in your life, like your mental issues, whether you're insecure like me or were insecure, like anxiety, depression, all these things, like they have a root cause, and finding that root cause may not really do anything in the short run, but in the long run it could only get better. Because if you don't know, you're always gonna be hacking at the leaves of behavior. You're always gonna be trying to change this habit or to change this to improve your willpower or do this thing, but you're never gonna really get to the root of the issue, which is the only way it can be solved. So I still do believe in self-awareness, but I just wanted to discuss it and let you know that it's not roses, and what's the phrase? It's not a smooth ride. It's very overwhelming at times. It's very disempowering at times, but hold on to hope, do the hard work, and yeah, we're all gonna heal together. And yeah, I'm so glad that you could join me for the first episode of Beach Talks. I'm so sorry we couldn't complete it at the beach, but I am really glad to have this community where I can just yap about my life and get really thoughtful messages, really good feedback, and I will continue to do my best. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.